Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We're going into our third hour here of Roll20 the Skeletor League. It appears that Graveris has been captured and replaced by some sort of skeleton man. This is real cute. I like the skeleton.
Skeleton Man, the most powerful superhero.
Look,
He's inside us all.
Andrew just got inverted while we were away. The skeleton is now on the outside. Welcome, Andrew Skeleton. So you cross the threshold. Everybody's gonna make their way into the realm.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you cross the threshold into Jenny Greenteeth's lair, and you begin to sense almost immediately a change in the atmosphere. You step out and you find that the trees and bushes, there's a clear like path ahead of you where they kind of are separated to either side.
Okay.
Yeah, immediately you just see like this pathway of its own, and as you follow the path, eventually you notice that at first there are there's a stone here and there in the path, and then more until you find that you're walking on a sort of primitive like cobblestone road, like a little stone pathway. The forest, the trees here become less and less sinister the farther you walk along the path. They become lighter. The bark lightens. The leaves lighten from that deep dark green, that sort of bottom of the ocean dark color, to a faded like a pleasant green. You notice that as you walk, the air warms. And you begin, I think, after about an hour of this slow transition from the dark woods into this much more pastoral place, you begin to smell like baking bread and wood smoke on the air. And as you continue along the path, I think that you become more and more aware of that smell. And then you come around a bend. The path kind of winds around a tree, and you spot to your left there's a wooden I guess a wooden post, and atop the post there is a wooden box, and the wooden box has in gold paint a number on the side. It says 214. Just drawn on the side of this box. The box is painted in a bright red that's a little bit faded by sunlight and time, and then the post itself also is painted in a like a whitewash, and it's just immediately to your left, and then ahead of you down the pathway there's a large clearing where the ever-present canopy of the woods has broken. You can see the sky for the first time in days.
Is it funny?
You can see the stars like really clearly in the sky. Yeah, it's still nighttime. And so you can see the stars above. There's this little mailbox to your left, and then down the path at the end there's a house, a small cottage of neatly stacked logs, a tidily arranged shingle roof, grown over with moss. So there's this like coating of moss on the shingle roof. Smoke is rising from a stone chimney, and out front there is an open like cook pit with a large iron cooking pot hanging over it from a tripod of iron rods. It's bubbling, and you can smell even from here the smell of like a stew or something cooking in that pot. I think like Lane, you feel your stomach like grumble at the smell. You've been eating rations for days.
How far away are we from this little house?
I don't know, like 40 or 50 feet.
Okay, I cast Detect Evil. I'm good.
Okay, all right. There are no aberrations, celestial, elemental, fey, fiends, or undead within 30 feet of you at the current moment.
Okay, I'm going to keep that up.
Okay.
There will be fey.
Right, so a look of concentration passes over Lane's face. Okay. All right. So you do you wanna continue down towards the? There's something like the smell and like the golden light coming from inside the cabin. Something about it like immediately banishes the cold of the forest behind you. Right. Like your cloak feels less sodden. Your bags feel less heavy. And you have a sense of like returning home. The gloom of your journey left behind you almost immediately.
Does this like we're just like we feel good? This is bad.
I mean, I don't know. You feel feelings, but how you respond to them is up to you.
Remember, everyone, to be careful. Never not. And then I start walking towards the house. I take the lead now.
Okay.
Lane is not surprised by the way he feels.
Right. So as you walk towards the house, I think in the woods off to one side, and you notice that there's a thin mist that kind of lies around the ground at the edge of the woods, but doesn't come into this clearing. And I think that as you walk towards the house, you startle like a deer that was grazing in the yard, which kind of scampers off into the woods. You follow the path up to the little house, to the hut, and yeah, you pass by the cook pot, the big iron cauldron, and I think that you notice there's like something, you notice like a structure. There's some kind of like wooden something built. You see like the edge of it that's built behind the house, but you can't see it from here. The house is blocking it from you. Yeah, there's something out back behind it, but you can't make out what it is from where you are.
I think it's probably best to announce ourselves. She knows we're here already. Knock on the front door, maybe. I nod, and then I do so.
Okay. All right. So you take a step towards the door. You're still like a little ways off, but you start to take a step towards the door, and it opens. And you see a woman. She's pushing it open with her shoulder, and she's like humming something to herself. And she has an apron over a beautiful green like crushed velvet like dress. This is like long dress, and even though the dress touches the ground, right, you can't see her feet. The dress brushes the ground. It doesn't seem to be damaged or soiled in any way. It's like beautiful and clean all the way to the ground, even though it's like touching the grass and the stone. She has a crown of feathers in her hair, and she has long, very curly brown hair. Her skin is has a deep like tan, and she has lines around her eyes from smiling. And she's doing so now. She's like, smiling to herself and humming as she pushes the door open. And she turns to look at you, Lane, and she has these like big, beautiful green eyes. And she looks startled for a minute, and she almost drops. She's holding her apron up, and she's got a bunch of like mushrooms and like herbs and stuff in her apron. And she almost drops them when you sort of startle her, and she starts and like takes a half step back. And she immediately blushes, right? And she's like, "Oh, my goodness, you gave me quite a fright." And she kind of like looks at the group of you, and you can see her eyes pass over everybody who's here. Is anybody hiding?
No point.
No, you're all just standing out in the open. Okay, all right, yeah. So she kind of like looks at you, and Lane, you have an opportunity to say something if you like.
I mean, do I ping off her?
Let me see. There's no. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, she's Faye for sure.
Yes, Elaine says, "A pleasure to meet you, I'm sure. We've come to speak to you, in fact."
She smiles, and she says, "Oh, is that so? Oh, what a delight. Dinner's almost ready." And she kind of glides over to the cauldron, and lifts the lid and starts pouring the like things that she's got in her, like picking them out and dropping them into the pot. And she looks over at you, Graveris, and she says, "Hand me the ladle, would you?" And she looks over, and you can see And I think that it wasn't there before. Like, you look, and now there's a ladle sitting on the like windowsill that definitely wasn't there before. Graveris might not notice this, but we as an audience definitely see that it's like, yeah, just there.
Yeah, and I just like take it in my hand, walk over to her, and like hand it over. And while I'm handing it over, I introduce myself. I'm just like, Graveris.
She takes it and then like grabs both of the like edges of her like gown and like curtsies deeply. Yeah, you catch a glimpse of like her ankle when she does so, and she's wearing like a little
Oh.
silver. Yeah, she's wearing like a little
erotic.
a little silver like anklet with bells on it, and you hear them like tinkle gently when she does this curtsy.
Yeah, and I'm just like, I've been looking forward to meeting you.
She smiles again and looks at the group of you and says, "Looking forward to meeting me? How unusual." And she turns and like stirs the cauldron.
Well, I was hoping I could provide a counterpoint to one of your previous visitors.
She yeah, she doesn't. She's attentive to the like the stew, and she says, "Previous visitor. I'm not sure I know who you mean."
Well, I assume that he found his way here. A man named Grangle.
And she laughs. She says, "Grangle, what a strange name. I don't think I know anyone by that name. I think I'd certainly remember a name like that."
Maybe he gave a different name. An older man. A wizard.
She stops then and turns. She's like, "A wizard? Why, how terrible. I certainly would have remembered if anyone like that had come to the glade." And she looks over at you, Anastasia, and she says, "Be a dear for me, little one. There's bread inside on the table. Could you bring it?" And she looks, and like the door is just hanging open.
Certainly.
Okay, you want to go inside?
And I just like carefully slide my like I'm looking around for anything that might be suspicious. It's very much like is this a trap walk? You know,
I don't let Anastasia go in alone. I would like accompany her unless called out.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Into the cottage
Yeah.
house.
Okay.
And grab any visible bread. I'm gonna take a quick sweep of the inside though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the inside, the whole cottage is built around the stone structure of the hearth right at the back. And there's it's a log cottage. There's a bed. There's a little like side table with a book on it next to the bed. There's a big wooden table on one end with lots of like chopped like bits and pieces of chopped vegetables, like the ends of carrots and a little pile of potato like peels. There are windows, but they're shuttered, except for the ones on the front. So the back windows are closed, and there is indeed a big loaf of bread still like steaming on the table with a cloth kind of half pulled back from it. It smells amazing in here, not just because of the bread, but because there are herbs and flowers like drying on string hanging by the windows. So the whole place smells just like awesome potpourri. And next to the door, as you come in, there's a long, deep green cloak, like an old like a boiled wool cloak hanging from a peg on the wall.
Okay, well, I grabbed the bread,
Uh-huh.
trying to avoid, the tantalizing smells and niceness of the inside of this cabin, and make my way back outside to the cauldron.
Okay, so you're in the house for a second. Outside,
Just a brief moment, yeah.
Mhm.
yeah, outside, Gravaris, she's like stirring it, and she takes like a ladle and like sips it and kind of like purses her lips and looks over at you and she says, "What do you think?" And like holds it out to you.
And I just like reply like, I think we were talking about this wizard.
She nods and she says, "We can discuss whatever you like, dear, but eat first. You all look so tired."
You see, he served the dragons and spoke on their behalf. And I was wondering what you thought of that.
She scowls at your rudeness.
And I'm doing my best to make my voice like really soft and nice and like super polite, but I'm also just being like, and this is where we stop. Like
Yeah,
we're talking about this thing.
she scowls and she turns to you, Lane, and she's like, "Your friend has no manners. Please," and like gestures for you to try it.
Yeah, so I reach up and I accidentally touch her hand,
Mm-hmm.
and I would like to like by touching something that is disguised as an illusion, you can tell where the discrepancies are. Like her hand looks smooth and like humanoid.
Make a
if
make a perception check.
I'm going to use inspiration.
Okay.
Perception. Oh Jesus! Can it be investigation?
No, it's not enough time to do investigation. You don't have time to like dig around and look at stuff. This is just the briefest of caresses.
Okay, whatever. Inspiration. Here we go.
Oh,
Phew.
Yeah, I mean her hand doesn't feel precisely the way you would expect. It's like, yeah, rougher. Are you wearing gloves? Such a fucking loaded question, I know, but
Oh, Jesus, of course I am.
yeah, you're wearing gloves. Okay. So yeah, there's just something about like the texture that seems strange, but it's so brief, right? And she like pulls her hand away and gives you a chastising look, and I think she like blushes a little and she's like, "My, presumptuous of you." And then this is when Anastasia, and Oleander, you come back out of the cottage, and yeah, she's like got her hand over her mouth, and she's looking at Lane like Lane just said something dirty to her, and Gravaris is like edgelording nearby.
Here you are. I'll say, like, offering up the bread. We are actually, while handing off the bread.
So you go to give it to her, and she's like, "Oh, just put it on the table." And you look, and there's like a table with a tablecloth and seats around it, and like little mugs of ale and plates and cutlery, and it was just there all along. Obviously, you just glossed over seeing it, but she's like, "Oh, just put it on the table there, please, dear."
All right. And I walk over to the table and put it on the table. And while I'm doing this, I sort of go, what my friend was saying is actually quite important. Wizard serving the dragon, or of some
She
kind.
interrupts you. She's like, yes, dear, wizards, dragons. It's all very interesting, but we need to eat first. Then we can talk. I've been working on this all day. And she's like spooning food into like bowls.
None for me, thank you. I'm full. I only need a small amount of food to be.
Can you make a Constitution save for me? Make a DC 11 Constitution save.
Okay.
I don't know if this would work.
Okay. Yeah. So you're like, I'm fine, and then you feel your like stomach like gurgle, but no one else can hear it.
Yes, it's fine.
And she shakes her head and she's like, no need to be polite, dear. There's plenty enough for everyone.
you were working on this all day. Were you expecting someone?
She shakes her head and she says, No, not expecting, but as my mother said, always best to be prepared for guests, just in case.
Your mother sounds like a lovely woman.
She smiles at you, and it's a perfectly like just innocent, beatific smile. Like just looks at you like you've just said something polite. And
Whatever happened to her?
She sort of glides to the table, and she says, "Oh, she died when I was very young. It's a long story and an old one now."
That must have been so hard for you.
She smiles and she says, "There's no reason to have such talk. please sit. And she gestures, and now like all the like all you ever saw her do was like one bowl, and now all the bowls are on the table. And she gestures to the
Adam.
table for you to sit down. Yeah.
Can I make a history check to like I'm like trying to remember if there's some like story about Jenny Greenteeth like murdering and eating her mother or some shit like that.
Yeah, you could.
I'll give that a try.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I got a 13.
I think the closest you can get is an old story about how like it's like a throwaway line at the beginning of a story introducing her as a character,
Mhm.
and like her mother was a river and her father was the woods or something like.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's a river through these woods.
Yeah. Let me take
What's the name of
a
it?
quick look at the map. Yeah. There's a river that runs along the edge. It would have run through the woods. You know,
Yeah, like previously.
in eons past. Yeah, it's called the Stogeno now, but that's what the settlers in Flan called it.
Right, and that's what we came up along.
You came up on that river. Yeah. The Quivering
Is there
Forest.
like an Elvish name for it or something? An oldie name?
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is, but I'm sure there is one. And the forest used to cover this whole area all the way down to the ocean. But
And
obviously,
yeah, so Graveris just like says that elven name for the river. Just like, yeah, like so and so, was it?
yeah, she makes a concerted effort not to respond. Like she kind of just like she heard you, but she doesn't say anything.
All right. Okay. I don't know if this is going to work, but I say where I come from before we eat. Well, I take every opportunity I can to thank the powers that be for my continued existence. And
Saying
I
grace.
mumble a prayer
So
and I cast.
Well, I was gonna say, so you start. You're like, whatever, and I'm gonna make the, where I'm from. We say grace before, and she stands, and she says, oh, well, go ahead. I think I have to attend to something out back. And when she says that, you actually do hear like there's like a rattling or like a noise, something from around the back of the house, and she says, please, everyone, make yourselves comfortable. Go ahead and start without me. I'll be right back. And she just kind of like glides away to the back of the house, leaving you alone around the table.
I want to sneak. Can I sneak after her?
Yeah.
Like,
you
I
wanna-
look at Gravaris as well. I'm just like,
Get on her. Okay.
Yeah, sneak it. I'm gonna snack.
Okay. All right.
I still don't understand why I can't use my blessing on myself. What the
I mean,
Listen,
I
man,
could
you're a member of the clergy.
blessing
It's your
on me.
job. It's your job to bless the other people of the world, not
well,
yourself.
whatever. I'm gonna use guidance and then sneaky snack.
Okay. Let me see what your perception is. Okay.
I don't know.
Ooh, that's a good sneaking.
We're
I
just
got
gonna let
26.
someone go like by themselves. Is that a thing we're doing right now?
I mean, that's the thing.
I
You
mean,
see
there's-
Gravaris get
there's-
up.
There's really no other option right now.
I trust Gravaris to be able to do this.
Yeah, and I just like slither out of my chair and like float behind her just as silently.
I'm very uncomfortable with letting anyone go anywhere by themselves, but
Okay. Let's see. You go unnoticed. She is distracted. So you follow her around behind
Yeah.
behind the cabin.
What tormented creature is behind the house? That she's
So
in?
yeah, so you get
Just
around
for
the
the wrangle?
house. You get around the house and you see there's a big like wooden cage in the back of the.
This is what I figured was going
Yeah,
on.
there's a big wooden cage around the back of the house, and in it there are two young men, and remember when at the beginning of the adventure I was like, the adventure says there's some like stuff that might be a little like intense for younger viewers. So
Yeah.
there's a cage. There are two people inside, young men. They're both like stripped down to like loincloths essentially. One of them is sitting on the ground and is missing one arm from the elbow down and both legs from the knees down. The other has like a long scar down the side, like a fresh scar down the side of his ribs with like stitch marks. And you could still see the like twine she's used to stitch him back up. And that one is like weakly like holding on to the bars, and looks like terrified. The other one is kind of half conscious and sort of staring up into the night sky.
Mhm.
And she's like gliding towards them, and you can't see her face, you just see the back of her, but the guy that was holding the bar is like trembling in fear now. Yeah, she's got the ladle in her hand, and she's like moving towards the cage.
Do I go for it? Do I just? Yeah,
So
I'm
these-
Graveris. I go for it.
So just so you know, both of these men are much too young to be Halvin Grangle. Just so
yeah,
so that's
no, yeah, of
Okay.
course. And so I say, well, I guess the one I was looking for wasn't fresh enough for you.
And she stops, obviously, and turns, and she's like grinning, and she turns around and she sees you and she's grinning and she's like, "My, you're a nosy one, aren't you?"
It's in my nature.
And she is walking towards you, and she goes from that kind of like gentle, like Sound of Music, like glide to a much more, and I don't know, like Gravaris doesn't notice this. Maybe she was always this like super hot before, but now like one of her apron is gone. One of her shoulders
it's
is like
the
off.
dress fell.
Yeah,
She's
her
suddenly wearing lipstick.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
yeah. Like she's just like, and her hair is like a little more tousled than it was before. And instead of gliding, she's taking very obvious like hip oriented steps towards you.
And there's just the click of me thumbing my sword out of the scabbard, right? That first little bit, and I just say, "Not my type."
Yeah, and she steps like right up towards you and is like reaching for your hand on your sword. Do you like take a step back?
Yeah, and I'm just like keeping her at that like whatever distance. And at this point, it's like if she follows me any further, she'll be exposed from like around the side of the house. To the
Exactly.
rest of the
So
people.
everybody on the other side of the house, they can't see you or her, but if you take one more step back, they'll see you holding your sword, and you're aware of it, and she's aware of it.
And it's just like hand on the scabbard, right, with it like thumbed out and ready.
Yeah. And she pouts and looks at you like, "Well, that's no fun." And she says, "No need to be so afraid, my dear. I don't bite. Besides," and she like looks around the side of the house and she's like, "What I have in mind for you, you won't want your friends seeing anyway." And she like takes a step back, and gestures to the cage. And how do you respond? Like she's not saying like get in the cage, but she's gesturing like let's take a step over here. I want to talk to you about something.
Yeah, and I like still keeping my hand kind of at the ready. I like take one step closer.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just be like, I have preferences with games. I have tastes.
She
Prefer to stick to them.
Yeah, she smiles, and she says, "Oh no, you're not for the cage. These two, they're getting what they deserve, just like that old wizard." And she says, like gestures, like, "Come here."
Yeah, and I don't get like super close. I keep her at like a workable distance, but I'm like coming over,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
and I'll just say, "Yes, a tiresome sort."
So the one armed the guy with the like his arms up on the cage looks at you and his eyes are wide and he just like you can see he wants to like scream for help but
Yeah,
like,
and I
can't
like
bring
put out a
himself to-
finger to him.
Yeah. She says she's like stay away from the cage. They're nasty boys, aren't they? And like she scowls at them and he looks at her like, "Oh god, I'm sorry," and like backs away from the cage.
Yes, certainly.
She says, "I'm afraid the old man you came looking for, well, he's no more."
Yes, well, he had something of a sickness in him, and I'm wondering how far it's spread. Did you talk to him?
She
What did
nods.
he say to you?
She says, "Well, unlike you and your friends, he was polite enough to sit with me to eat.
Hmm.
We spoke. He was unappreciative. Said something about dragons and the old pact. Interesting things. I've been mulling them over. Then they sent these villagers. Foolish little things. Breaking the pact. I should tell the elves. The other fae.
Yes, well, I come to offer, as I said, a counterpoint. Grangle, or whatever his real name was. He had his allegiances. We all have a different offer, and if you would like to talk about it, we can do that.
She takes a step towards you. Like definitely like a full stride would get her up in your personal business.
And I just like
takes a step
fighting
towards
stance
you.
her, where it's like one foot goes back, the other stays put.
Right, and so there's this moment where her body turns too, so like you're almost
Yeah.
dancing, and that like her shoulders follow yours as she steps towards you, and she gets all close, and she's like, "I'll talk to you," and like gets real close, and you can smell like a combination of like sort of a floral perfume coming off of it, like it's very heady, like you get a little dizzy smelling it, but underneath it there are like these kind
Just
of
like the human flesh smell?
Well, no, there's this like earth tone, this very deep, like rotting wood, like old soil smell that comes off of her when she
How
gets
long
into
have
your
they been
space.
back there?
30 seconds. Yeah, let's cut out. So meanwhile, you have a moment where you're out of earshot. You can't hear them talking. You're all at the table. What are you doing? The three of you. There's this like delicious smelling meal sitting on the table.
I'm like antsy pantsy, and I'm just like, we have to go after him. It's not safe.
I trust him. He will make this work, if any of us can.
Best not to interrupt whatever he may be doing. But if she steps out of there without him, then we worry.
I don't like just sitting here and not doing anything. I wanna like try and peek around the side of the building, if I can see them. I don't know if that's just like standing up a little bit from the table, or like if it would involve like actually like getting up and going around, or.
Okay. Yeah. You want to try to be stealthy about this?
Yeah, I don't want to like interrupt what he's doing. Like Lane said, you trust him, but I don't trust.
There's just gonna be a long chain of you all like sneaking behind each other. Okay, make a stealth roll. Okay, 17. Can you roll, Gravaris?
Stealth roll?
No, perception, please.
Oh, okay.
Okay, here's how this is gonna go. You rolled really well, but Gravaris and the hag both rolled better than you, Oleander. So I'm gonna give Gravaris. I'm gonna give you an opportunity here. You hear Oleander approach. You hear like her footsteps in the loam or whatever, and you're like, the witch is looking past. Like she's gonna see. You're not gonna see Oleander or whoever it is. You're not gonna see Oleander, but the witch will, unless you do something to distract her. What are you gonna do? So you hear someone coming. There's this moment in slow motion where you can see her eyes start to like look that way. What are you gonna do? You have your hand on your sword, kind of like you're standing in like a crouch pose, but she's like right up in front of you.
And what was the last thing she said to me?
I can't remember.
I'm trying to remember.
You.
Oh, I'll talk to you. Yeah, and then got all like close to you.
Yeah. And it was kind of like we were dancing anyways. And so I like slide a hand onto her hip and like waltz her back around the back of the house.
Yeah, like you could like dip her away.
Yeah, exactly. So I kind of like swing her away.
And I
here's
grab Oleander as well to like move her back.
Well, so Oleander gets it. Yeah, Oleander, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get to see something before you get pulled away. So, Blue Jay, have you seen the movie The Shining?
Yes,
Okay, just curious if you've seen that.
I have.
So yeah, you see Gravaris, like in mid like dip. So you see him grab her and like dip this woman, but you see her as she maybe really is. Her dress hangs in rotting tatters from her body. She's bent over, her spine hunched, her hair hanging in dark green like tangled like kind of netting from her head, and her skin is like pale and damp looking. And you see him, you see Gravaris grab her and like turn her around, and then you feel a mailed hand on your shoulder as Lane yanks you back.
It feels bad, man.
What are you doing?
She's more powerful than all of us combined.
I'm
Can't-
still not so sure.
So the two of you are whispering. Gravaris, can you make a performance check? Make sure you make it with your dexterity to try to like lead this little thing to like, get her away from whatever's going on.
A performance with dexterity?
Yeah, just make not yeah. Gravaris has to make it.
Okay, I'll
wanna
just
make
roll
sure.
a dexterity check then,
Okay,
because I don't have performance trained.
okay. Sure.
Um,
She's basically trying to like dance her into position.
unless sleight of hand or deception might apply.
Sleight of hand would be trying to steal something off of her while you're dancing with her. And deception is like verbally like lying straight up.
Okay,
lying to
cool.
somebody.
So
But
I'll just
yeah,
make a dexterity
this
check.
is the maneuver. You're trying to like get her into position. Okay,
I
14.
get a 14.
All right, so I'll roll her wisdom to see if she notices what's going on or if she thinks that you're actually like dancing with her. Let's find out. No, she falls for it.
Great.
So you like sort of swoop her out of the way, and there are a couple of like steps that like move you further out of view, and then you hear Lane like whispering like get away from there, and then they kind of disappear behind you.
I don't like this. I don't like this at all. Leander doesn't like it. I don't like it. It's
And
bad news bears.
and then she laughs and she says and you see she's breathing. It's like she's theatrically breathing a little too hard. So that when she like breathes in, she pushes her chest against yours.
Yeah.
And her cheeks are flush with color, and she says, she's like, "Oh, you're quite quick on your feet, aren't you? I could find some use for you around here." And she like grins at you. And you notice when she does, and this is the most she's smiled and the closest she's been, one of her front teeth is like a perfectly cut emerald,
Yeah.
and it like
Totally.
sparkles in the starlight.
And I just smile and say, I'm an old hand at this. These games. You play them too. I, for one, don't see the need to distinguish between the mask and the face beneath it.
And
And I've like stopped dancing with her at this point,
Yeah.
and I'm like kind of like, you know,
she grins at
Stood right
you
in front of me.
and she says, you should know as well as anyone, Gravaris, that sometimes the mask is the man, and that for some of us there's nothing beneath. Besides, your poor little human mind might not be able to survive seeing what's really in front of you. And she grins, and her eyes for a second like flicker with a darkness that's like the deepest moonless night you can imagine. Like you feel like vertigo making
Yeah.
eye contact with her, and then you blink and her eyes are back to being these like beautiful emerald colored.
and yeah, Graveris just says, underneath every mask, another mask. So why don't we put the game on hold just for a moment and speak plainly?
Make a persuasion check.
I'm going to spend my inspo on this.
Okay.
Get persuaded.
All right, 14. All right, okay. So she I think she looks at you with a look of patience. She kind of like smiles and she says, "We'll finish this dance later." And she turns to the cage and she's like, "And you two, quiet now. No interrupting dinner. You're already as invited as you're going to get." And she turns and puts her she holds your arm, so she like scoots her
Yeah, I'll
hand under.
totally like bring her out on my arm. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the two of them come back around the corner. Do we get Lane and Oleander standing talking, or have you like gone back to the table, or is this
I'm
like
assuming Lane was like, go fucking sit down. Were you? Did you like?
Yep. I made everybody sit down. And I also did another thing because it only takes a second.
okay? What was it?
I don't know if it's going to count, but I cast Purify Food and Drink.
Okay. Excellent.
Bless this mess.
Yeah, so Torm, I'm gonna say Torm's magic, the light of Torm, purifies it in the sense that it strips away the hag's innate illusions that she's cast over the spell. So what we saw before as a hearty brown like stew with bits of vegetables and whatever floating in it, we turn to look over Lane's shoulders, and you see the bowl, and there's a sort of brackish, like briny looking fluid, bits of like unidentifiable vegetable matter kind of floating in it, and like a human eye goes bloop up to the top and just kind of floats there, staring up at you, Lane.
Oh, look, dinner went cold while you were gone. So sorry.
You say that when they come back.
I am only doing what can be described as kobold fidgeting.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I am so uncomfortable.
I'm sitting in this chair like fingers together, you know, and like the end of my tail is just slightly like every now and then, like definitely just waiting for something bad to happen.
So
like, entirely.
yeah, so the hag that left and the one that greeted you at the door is gone, replaced by a woman that looks visually identical, but something about her countenance has changed. So whereas there was the sort of innocent peasant woman that greeted you at the door, and then the sort of winking seductress in the backyard has now been replaced by an imperious. She has her like shoulders back and her head high, and there's something about the way that she's walking that commands attention and respect. Like she walks into the glade like a queen
On my arm, but like I'm some steward.
Yeah.
And I think Reverse will just very quietly be like, "Oh, I like you more this way."
And she walks over to the table and looks down at the stew and looks at the group of you and says, "I've spoken with your friend. You've come here for a purpose, as the old man did. Let's hope you don't meet his fate. If you displease me," and she like looks down at the stew, she says, "There's always room in the cage. What is your business with Jenny Greenteeth?" And she grins, and all of her teeth are like perfectly filed triangular emeralds, and she has way more teeth than she should.
The old too many teeth game.
Our business is that I personally would like to know the fate of Grangle. You know, where he is now.
She says, "I killed him. Killed him and ate him.
Oh.
He was rude and displeased me."
Very well. Now, alternately, did you happen to listen to what he was saying before you killed and ate him?
She nods. "I didn't kill him for violating the treaty, though I thought of it. But I think now the treaty is long overdue to be broken. And these humans, they've done us wrong. The forest needs to grow again. Old things are awakening."
But for a being of your potency, should we say, a legend, you know, is that really very interesting?
She says, "We've tolerated the humans and their farms for far too long."
But you could just choose at any time to have decided to do that, you know?
She scowls at you and she says, I wouldn't expect one of your kind to understand this, but when the Fae make a pact, we keep it."
So Lane stands up and he says, "I know my people in the past have done yours wrong. I cannot excuse this, and I will not attempt to. But know now that if you break this treaty, you will be doing so on behalf of others, on behalf of dragons, and they will not end with destroying the humans. They will turn their maws upon you after. And as much as my mission is to protect the people of Flan here, I would extend that to your people as well. We are here to prevent this senseless loss of life. And if there is a deal that can be made with you to convince you so that you might see some assurance of the goodwill of myself and my people, and I do not want you to be deceived by these tyrannical and bloodthirsty creatures, then let it be made.
Can you make a persuasion check for me, please?
And I want to help. I want to chime in and help.
Okay.
And Graveris' help is just, and of course, the dragons, when they make the forest grow under their heel, it's not really the same, is it? They don't have much of a sense of humor.
In my experience, dragons like to burn more than they like to grow. How would that treat your forest?
Okay.
Lane, you're so convincing.
So Lane got a 12.
Say what I said.
Okay.
Dice will say something else if they want.
So she's listening, and she's like waiting for you to finish, and she scowls and she says, "You've come a long way from the city, nobleborn, in your metal suit with your heavy sword. I've seen the things you've done. You've killed my kind before." And she scowls, and she says, "Your words are like your steel. They're only for hurting. Humans, this is how you're like. This is the way it goes. You burn, you pillage." And when you, Oleander, when you say something about dragons, she turns and looks at you and she says, "You shouldn't speak of things you don't understand, girl. You should find a rock to crawl back under." Besides, she kind of like, and then she like finally like looks you up and then she's like, "Besides, what do you care for these humans? The forest would embrace you for what you are. Them, they'll just die. Even this one," and she gestures to Gravaris, "only has so much time before his precious mask snatches him back and away from you." What do you say?
I care not for the lives of men. My party, I am aware that they will all die before I do. This forest, however, has not welcomed me, nor has any other place I've been, as much as this company right now. You lie when you say I would be welcome here. You lie when you say a lot of things.
She doesn't like hearing this. Like she's scowling as you speak. You're being very rude.
I am.
Are you gonna turn this around, or are you just gonna be like, "You're a dick and I hate you"?
You're a dick and I hate you.
Okay, all right.
I might just pause it.
Yeah, so it all kind of falls on you, Anastasia, because she's kind of okay with Gravaris, and Gravaris has said some smart things.
Okay.
Lane, not so much. Oleander's just opted out and been like, "Fuck you, old lady."
Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. You're cool.
Here is my point to you. And little though it may be, I believe it to be true. So, you enjoy a position in the hierarchy of things. Quite a high position, I've come to know. Now, if you decide that wiping out the humans is what you want to do or want to move towards, then you step on lots of things that are already beneath you. But if you talk about maybe keeping your seniority, then you probably don't want the dragons around. They're also very big and scary, like you. And if they're around, and you're around, then eventually the two of you will have to decide who is the most big and scary. And if all the humans are dead, somebody else needs to be on the bottom. And it won't really matter because it will do you harm that you don't have to deal with if you instead deal with the dragon cult.
Right. So you're suggesting here that like as long as the humans are around, then she's not going to end up at the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, my basic point is like as long as the humans are here and you're here and you move to stop something being bigger than you, then you might still be the biggest. But if you move to kill the humans, the big thing gets bigger and then you die.
Okay. Go ahead and make your persuasion check. You should have inspiration from the scene before where you were flipping through your book if you want to use it.
I didn't, but I do
okay.
now.
Good. Yeah,
And I will roll persuasion
okay.
with inspiration.
Oh my god, Elf, please do it.
Oh, boom. All right. Okay. So she listens to you, and she smiles, and I think that she like crouches down next to you on the seat and looks at you, and she says, I think, and she says like this quietly, like it's obviously everyone can hear it, but it's obviously to you. She says, I think this new form suits you well, little one. Lorcan has given you a gift of humility. You understand the latter better than you used to. And she smiles as though she's like proud of you, like she's giving you this very like motherly kind of thing. You notice her teeth are like back to normal. And then she stands and she says, as I said, the Fae make pacts and we keep them. Now the humans, they've broken an ancient law, and for the most part they've been punished for it. Those two out back, I'll finish punishing them in time. I think I'll be willing to leave it at this. That old man, his ideas, they were strange, but he was just a servant. If the dragons want to ally with Jenny Greenteeth, they'll have to do it themselves. And she like grins kind of wickedly.
Might I, thank you for your kind words, but do you happen to have any of Alvin Grangle's belongings?
She kind of like quirks an eyebrow. She's like, I'm not sure. Perhaps. I have many odds and ends collected over time.
I would very much like to know what the cult is up to. And if he is a member, then he may have documentation or a sigil that would help us go somewhere else and deal with our own problem. And it's not your problem, of course, our problem. But
so while you're talking, she's like, she smiles and she puts her hand on your little shoulder and she's like, you don't have to be afraid anymore. I'm not going to hurt you. In fact, and she like smiles and she looks over at you, Graver. She's like, I have a gift for you, for all of you, for coming so very far and visiting me. I do get so lonely for good company. Please. And she like puts her hands up, like, wait here. And she goes like off to her house. And somehow between being kneeled down and talking and standing up, she's like aged. Not visibly, like she doesn't have like gray hair all of a sudden, but something about the way that she's standing now, she has a much more matronly kind of like an older countenance to her. She stands more slowly, and she walks off to the house to fetch something.
I like mutter something under my breath and undercommon about like telling me to crawl back under a rock. What a fucking bitch.
Okay.
She's gonna kill you. That was bad.
What? I'm pissed.
Okay. She heads off to the house. So yeah, do you say anything or do anything while she's in there?
Graveris just like turns and looks at Oleander. I'm just like, it's a very dangerous game you're playing. Can't recommend it.
She's like, she wants to kill her. She wants to kill her so bad, but no, she probably couldn't do it by herself. And y'all are like, not really, like, you think things are handled or whatever. So
that'd be the harshest way to have a character die, to be like, cool, I'm gonna attack her, and I'm like, roll initiative, and Oleander rolls, and then everyone else is like, I'm gonna abstain.
Yeah, no. Like,
I'm good.
She's mad.
I'm not into this fight. It's cool.
I
She
think
saw how gross she is and like, ugh, ugh.
I
That
think
and scared aren't a good combination.
I am in that like post phase of like, holy shit, I could have died if I'd said exactly one thing different that didn't go exactly how it went. Like that like relief that you're not dead, like sort of shakes, like of the adrenaline. But also this is the most I've had the word dragons on my tongue for like my entire kobold existence. And it's weird. It's like kind of appealing.
Right. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and you can, I mean, I think being in the Quivering Forest, you can, maybe you above anybody else, you can sense like a gentle tug. You dream about like getting up and like wandering away from the camp. And you can feel somewhere deep in the forest the serpentine intelligence of the dragons like awakening and calling to you. And you definitely know that the other kobolds that live around here are feeling the same and like going to these places. It's hearing the call of your people.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. Gross. So Jenny Greenteeth returns from the cabin, and she's holding under her arm a beautiful purple colored hardwood chest. She's got that under her arm, and she has that cloak folded over her other arm. And she comes back to the table, and she sets the chest on the table, and she says, "These are bits and pieces, things I've collected over time. I have no use for them. Perhaps you will." And she sort of pushes the chest towards Lane, like, "Here you go." And then she kind of comes around behind you, Gravaris. Are you standing or still sitting at the table?
I'm still standing. I'm like where she left me
Okay.
to go. Like,
Yeah. So she comes behind you and with a flourish, like wraps the cloak around your shoulders. And it settles gently on your shoulders with much less weight than you'd expect a cloak this like well protected against the weather to feel. And she reaches around in front of you, and you all see this. She clasps a silver like leaf shaped like clasp to hold the cloak together. And she steps back and like kind of looks you up and down, and she nods and she says, yes, I think this will do nicely. Wear it in good health." And she turns to you, everybody at the table, and she says, "You've undone what those villagers did. The pact will remain, and as for the dragons, well, they'll awaken. Nothing to be done about that. But we won't help them do whatever it is that they intend to do. And if they attack the villages, I will see to it that the elves come to their aid. And I expect," and she looks at Lane, "you can take this back to your black fist in Flan, that if the dragons do any harm to Greenhall or any of the other wood elven settlements in the Quivering Forest, that they'll come to their protection as well, as was promised so long ago."
You have my word. I will convince them.
Everyone at the table, you feel something. Like you feel like you all shiver at once when Lane says that. And she smiles and she curtsies to you. And she says, "It's good to see that there's honor among men, even still. Now," and she like yawns, and in the yawn you can see her now like streaks of gray sort of like appear in her like ringlets. And she yawns and she says, "It's late and I need my sleep." And she gestures to the path. She says, "Please go."
I totally take her hand and like do the like kneel and the kiss the hand, and just say, "Should you ever wish to dance again, some years now in the future, you'll find me at Mask's side. I'm sure you know the way."
Yeah, she smiles at you when you do that. Oleander, you're just like, "I fucking hate you."
I was muted. Yes.
He's just like
so jealous.
Okay.
Yeah.
In fact, you know what, Graveris, when he rejoins the group, he's just like, "Jealousy does not become you, Oleander." And he's like walking along. Like,
Oh my god, the tables.
Ah.
They turned.
I hang back just a little,
Mm-hmm.
while everybody else is sort of walking away, and I'm not far enough back that it's like, oh, what the fuck? Like, she's not around. But I wanted to ask her something.
Sure, yeah, she definitely
Um,
notices, and we get a scene where everybody else is heading towards the path, and she turns like and does that kind of like, oh, I didn't notice you hadn't left yet thing, where she like looks at you and she kneels down and she's like, something on your mind?
Well, I had a question for
She-
you.
She nods. Go ahead.
Are you in the habit of making many pacts? Are there those who are in service to you?
She grins and she says,
Do it.
she says, I've had many suitors over time, friends, servants, yes, but I think you're a taken property, little one.
I find myself in an unenviable position. And I was wondering if it is possible to resolve a pact of servitude with one you find does not suit your needs.
She
The
she smiles and she says we I know the one you serve. We've been known to make trades now and then. And she must have like at some point produced it from like her dress or her robes or something, but she's holding a small like green tallow candle, and she puts it in her hand, and she says, think on it a fortnight, and when the moon is full again, light this candle, set it on your windowsill. I'll see it burning.
very well. I will speak to you again.
She smiles, like pats you on the head, and says, better catch up to your friends.
Yes, of course.
and I turn and
Run after.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
scurry
Would-
away.
Would Anastasia in service to a different master still be a kobold?
Maybe, maybe not.
I mean, she did say there are words that came out of her mouth that were like, "This form suits you." So I don't think she
Oh, right.
necessarily.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll see if she has anybody that's worth a trade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally.
FA Pact. It's the best.
I mean, I don't know that it is, but I couldn't help but make that
Both of you.
role play
Both
happen.
of you.
Totally.
Shit list.
Yeah, I
Both
love
of
it.
you.
Well, what's great is that you're caught, like Anastasia is a person caught in between all these powerful entities, right? There's the demon you
Yeah,
serve,
so many.
and there's this fey creature, and then there's dragons, right? And the dragons are like rising, and so some part of your like deep lizard brain is like, I have to smack the dragons. They're so cool. You know, yeah, it's pretty awesome.
It's great. I love it.
So, yeah, so I guess you head out into the woods, and unlike your way in, the Quivering Forest seems to, over the course of the next few days, just like gently guide you out. You know, you're like, let's make camp, and then you sit down, and you're like, hey, look, there's some delicious edible berries like right here, and like everything just goes like your way as you're delivered back to the village. What do you tell the villagers of what happens? Let's do the little like the sort of denouement of the adventure. What do you tell them about what you saw in the forest?
Well, we let Lane do the talking, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Do these shitty human business for shitty humans.
Wow, so brutal.
Yeah, that's
Everyone
fine.
is dead.
Listen, somebody's got to do the hard thing, and it's
Yeah.
usually the paladin.
The man, Grangle, was no friend to your village. And unfortunately, those that followed him paid with their lives. They were good people. They cared for what they believed to be one of their own. Though the fault for it lies with him.
Right, so you're placing, you're like, it's okay, like it sucks that the villagers, like they died in the woods. Do you tell them? And what do you say? Like, they were killed by like
I'd
elves
say
or the witch, or who do you
they
put
were
that blame
killed
on?
in accordance with the pact. However, there is a new one in place, renewed, that the elves will not seek further vengeance for their the previous agreement being broken.
So
They will come
there are those among the crowd, because like a crowd is gathered to hear what the adventurers have to say, right? And there are those among the crowd who, like the parents of or brothers or sisters of the people who were killed, who like initially like no, we have to get vengeance on these elves. And then the elders of the village are like, no, shut the fuck up. Like the elves aren't going to massacre us all. This isn't going to be genocide. So we did okay. It's fine.
That's a win.
That's a win
Yeah.
for us. Yeah.
So I say, and furthermore, if there are any further attacks upon your towns, your villages, know that you have a pact-made ally in those elves. Now, likewise, if anything is to befall them, Flan and its constituents will assist them.
Mhm.
Mutually beneficial. I am sorry that your kinsfolk had to die in all of this.
Yeah, and so we see there are people in the crowd like crying and stuff, but like for the most part they get it. The message sinks in, and nobody's like ready to go burn the forest down. They have a healthy respect for the old ways. They're mad, but when you're like Halvin Grangle, it's like, it was his fault. He broke the thing. You shouldn't have gone after him. They have no one to be angry at, right? Because they're just like, Grangle, but he's already dead. So, do you?
Yeah, maybe even I add on to that, and I say, Grangle was an agent of chaos, hoping to bear destruction down upon this town. Remain ever vigilant against such people.
Nice. Yeah, definitely. So they're like, what's great though now is like you leave, you're like, listen, a stranger came to your village and then tried to ruin everything. Don't trust strangers. Like this is now the most xenophobic village in all of the area, because like the last time they trusted somebody, evil wizard.
I don't care.
Yeah,
Like,
it's good. It's a good call. It'll protect them.
Yeah, as long as no other dragon cultists are allowed to.
Exactly. Yeah, time to step up that authority, right? Like stomp out dragon cultists wherever you find them and report strangers to the Black Fist.
Yeah, exactly. Be ever vigilant.
Yeah.
Hey, it's totally on brand for me.
In the coming weeks, there's something of a Salem situation here where people are accused of dragon cultery, but it's fine. It keeps you safe from the elves. The pact is maintained, and if it comes down to it, then yes, the Fae will help protect Flan. Good work, everybody. So for this adventure, unless anyone has any other loose things to tie up,
The last one is, I absolutely do not intend to break my word. I will, during my downtime, spend all of it trying to get an audience with as high a member of the Black Fist or the Council of Flan as possible.
Yeah.
And make them aware of this new pact that they're in.
God, and it's not even it's a renewal of a pact that already existed, right? Like if the elven people were in danger, they would send a person to Flan and be like, listen, we made this promise, you got to come help us. But Flan, the government of Flan, and they'd be like, fuck you, get out of here, elf. But what's great is you coming back and being like, but I saw the witch, like we made the deal, like you have to listen to me. And like, yeah, having to go to like these like bureaucrats, these overstuffed bureaucrats who don't listen. Like, yeah, Lane's got a struggle ahead of him.
Job cut up for him.
But it's cool. It's awesome. Like you're the noble paladin who's like personally responsible for these things. It's really cool.
It doesn't take long, maybe a couple of days, for Anastasia to decide that she's gonna contact Jenny with the candle.
Yeah.
Oh, and Adam, one last thing.
Yeah.
For me, anyways,
Mhm.
the homing pin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I go back and retrieve that from being in the table of the ex-wizard's house.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No one's touched it.
Yeah, because Jenny can follow my adventures.
Right. You're like, I'm gonna take it with me. Yeah. Cool. So so Elf,
But
you're gonna.
I give it to Anastasia.
Okay, and we see a scene of you like lighting the candle and putting it up on the windowsill of an inn.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Cool. Yeah. And then Oleander, do you have like a ending scene that you want to?
Any parting shots for Solaris?
Yeah, I want to know what because you know where his cabin is. You know where he lives.
I wouldn't go back. I think that Oleander, like all of that questioning, like why are you with these people, and also the fact that she just like she's jealous. Someone insulted her. Someone had more power than her, and like used it to get her friends to their side. Like she's upset, and also like why am I with these people? Like,
These people suck.
yeah. So she's quiet and brooding and like.
So no one can tell the difference. You're just the same as you.
I'm the
always were.
same, but I'm not. No, I was quiet and brooding and not mad at all of my companions before.
Right. The seed of frustration.
Okay. So you're being cold like continually for a long period.
Yeah.
I use my downtime days to be a jerk.
Yeah, I use my downtime days to like look for better companions. No.
No. Graveris is gonna do something nice for you. I like bring back this quiver of like nice arrows that you couldn't buy from whoever.
Right. You go out and buy some like.
Yeah, go
Everyone's
buy-
just like, Oleander likes arrows. Let's just get her arrows. Everyone.
So I think the last scene we see then, if you don't make any effort to go and like talk to Ceralis again, we see a shot of Ceralis' little cabin in the pile of like cut wood outside, and it's nighttime. And as the shot pulls in closer to the cabin, we can hear a like kind of like a rhythmic snapping sound. And as we get closer and the sound gets louder, at the end of every snap, there's like an intake of breath, and like a muttering between them. We go in through, like we fade into the scene and we see Ceralis, and he's kneeling on the floor, and his back is just like a crisscross of like marks of like cuts, and he's like bleeding. There's like a pool of blood on the floor, and he's muttering in Drow. And he's like, whipping himself, and he has this like black scourge with little like obsidian talons on the end of it. And he's like whipping himself, and in front of him, he's kneeling in front of an altar, a little black stone altar, in the shape of a spider.
Of course he is.
Yeah. And then we fade
Drow
out. So
males.
let's get some rewards up in this piece.
I want the rewards.
Yeah. What was the stuff?
So you literally like just cleaned out the adventure, aside from a little bit of extra treasure at the lair of the displacer beast. You could follow them back. But otherwise you got it all covered. So for experience, I don't think there's any experience thing you didn't do. So you max out. So you get for this adventure, everybody gets 750 experience.
Cool.
Yeah, you get 750 for the adventure. You get, let's see, the chest that Jenny Greenteeth.
Sorry. How much did you say?
750.
Level up.
Yes. Level 4.
Nice. All right. Cool. So the chest that Jenny gave you has 250 gold in it. In varying, like some coins that are very, very old, and some that are new, and a mixture of coins and gems, little baubles and trinkets that she's collected over time from her people who've wandered into her realm. You get 50 gold from Hupe, who is, I don't think you ever learned his name. He was the little halfling, the guy that put you on the mission the first place. 50 there. You're gonna keep Jenny's hairpin, so you don't trade that for anything. You didn't rob Ceralis, so you don't get his gold.
Well, that's an option.
And then you already got the money from Halvin's place and from Pip-Yap. So what's great is that the adventure actually accounts for you taking Pip-Yap with you everywhere you go.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I
so
wanted to do that,
totally
but I
could.
knew the paladin wouldn't let me.
Basically, he offers like shitty commentary on everything, and then also gives you disadvantage on a lot of persuade rolls because he's just, like rude and shitty to everybody that you meet.
So we made the right choice.
Yes, mechanically not taking him with you is definitely the right choice. But yeah, he basically just is like the peanut gallery the whole way through. And then
So Pip-Yap is, so what you're saying is Pip-Yap is chat.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pretty much.
And you've just banished him back to hell.
Wow. This chat's pretty nice. It can be somebody else's chat.
I'm just joking. Like, I just want to see chat get all pissy because they called them Pip-Yap.
Yeah.
How much did we get from Grangle? Sorry.
Pip chat. Halvin's stash was 30.
There it is.
Halvin's stash was 35, and Pip Yap's satchel was 15.
Oh,
So
yeah.
another 50 gold.
I do have that
Yeah, you
written
have
down,
those.
actually.
Okay. So you also gain the spell scroll that you already have, that chromatic orb scroll. And Gravarus, she gave it to you, but you could give it to someone else if you want. It's funny because the adventure version of this and the Dungeon Master's Guide version are different. And I'm just going to combine them because I think in the DM guide it gives you all of these qualities. It is, as chat immediately called out upon seeing it hanging on the peg, it is a
Elvenkind.
cloak of Elvenkind. Which, if you are a sneaky person, is kind of an awesome thing to have. The Cloak of Elvenkind is a supple green cloak embroidered with a delicate leaf pattern that makes you feel comfortable wherever worn, suffering no harm from temperatures as cold as 0 degrees Fahrenheit or as warm as 120 degrees Fahrenheit.
Why is it in Fahrenheit? Fuck you, baby.
I don't know. In addition, while you wear this cloak with the hood up, perception checks made to see you have disadvantage, and you have advantage on all stealth checks to hide. As
Yay.
the cloak's
Wow.
as the cloak's color shifts to camouflage you, pulling the hood up or down requires an action. So what's great about the Cloak of
I
Elvenkind?
go into edge mode.
Yeah, what's good about the Cloak of Elvenkind is that it's a 1-2 punch, right? In that A, you get advantage on stealth checks, and then B, they get disadvantage against those. So really, like, it's the maximum
Yeah.
possible distance. between
Enjoy
them.
your second magic item, Gravarus.
It's
Yeah.
your
Right,
best. It's your best against their worst.
I can give you all advantage on stealth checks anytime.
Yeah, I mean, exactly, right? That's why I said, like, that instead of give it to whoever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah, no, you're the sneakiest one anyway.
Yeah.
So,
You do the
if,
sneaking.
if Grangle was already dead, then how was Pip Yap still around? Or does
He
he
was
find-
dead at that time.
Grangle dies after you go into the forest.
Right.
There's a point at which you die, and it also basically it's contingent on if you take Pip Yap, he lives as long, like he could be alive when you get there. But if Pip Yap is gone, I can just kill him whenever I want.
did we get anything from, like, because I asked about the belongings of
Grangle.
of Grangle. Did we get anything from that? Like,
no. The only
Okay.
the only clues, like Grangle goes into the forest with like nothing basically.
Yeah, we have his journal already.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
well,
that's true.
you know, I just wanted to check.
Yeah, no, that was a reasonable thing to do, but
So let's see the next adventure. The next adventure in
Not
season
shitty
one.
elves. Not shitty elves. Hey elves.
Yeah. The next one is called Outlaws of the Iron Root.
Outlaws of the Iron Root, like
Outlaws of the Iron
tree
Root.
root
Yeah,
or
no,
route?
R-O-U-T-E, like route. Yeah. But not R-O-U-T like route. So the description of DDEX 19 is the Iron Route, an important trade road east of Flan, is beset by competing bandits. An exiled Black Fist officer leads his band of mercenaries turned cloaked ruffians, while a mysterious dragonborn sorcerer commands screaming savages from the north. In this war over the trade route, the beleaguered merchants are the victim, and Flan suffers from a lack of supplies. It's up to the adventurers to strike out and reopen this vital route. An adventure for 1st to 4th level characters.
Blue Jay with the eye roll.
That's right. You got to go protect the commerce of Flan. Fight
Uh-huh.
those bandits.
So many dudes. It's going to be great.
Yeah. So you know that much. So if anyone wants to like retool anything for human murdering, definitely be.
I'm all set.
Can I just murder everyone? Fuck your trade routes. Everyone's dead.
I am still in a toss up as to what I'm doing pact wise now. You've thrown me a bone and I'm like, oh, it's so good, but it's so, I don't know what I'm
Oh
doing.
my god, like to have that like interaction like in character with
Yeah.
your like master, like that just
That's kind of why I was like,
Yeah.
maybe I should change because she's like an archfey. Like she could be an archfey.
what would Lane's opinion be if like would we notice a difference in Anastasia?
Yeah,
like
all of her spells would be different.
Yeah.
that would be super weird in mechanically in character to be like, hey, we know that you're working with that bitch. Like, well, I mean, Oleander.
I think-
Reverse likes her, and
Yeah,
Lane just made a pact with her, so
Yeah.
he can't
I'm the
do
only
that.
one that hates her guts.
Yeah.
No,
so-
I still hate her.
Yeah.
But like I made a deal. That's
I mean,
fine.
the alternate route is just be a sorcerer. That's the other thing. I'm still like not entirely sure what I'm doing. Too
Mhm.
many powers pulling me in too many directions.
So powerful.
I love it.
I'm curious. how awfully ridiculous is Jenny statted?
Oh yeah, like if we had
Kind of
chosen to
like-
fight
If we
her.
decided to fight her, yeah, what was the deal there?
Most of her jam is like illusions, and she can turn in, like she can go superior invisible basically like as an action.
That's pretty rough.
So it's mostly
I
just
fairy
like
fire. It's not a big
she
deal.
disappears and then can like slash at you. Her only real attacks are vicious mockery and her claws, but her claws do like 2d8 plus 4 damage, and she gets 2 attacks, and she can
She's a
stealth.
green hag, is she?
What's that?
She's not just a green hag.
She's a slightly modified green hag. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could have killed her. Oh, fine.
We should have.
The thing is
it's
the
so much fun not to.
yeah
It
the
was-
hag
the
the hag is
roleplay
meant
was
like
so
it's very
good.
much meant to
The
be
roleplay
like
was great.
it's meant to be like she's really scary and like, you know, put that on you, but also that there are ramifications. Like if you did kill her and we're just like, cool, we're killing her, we're going back to town, then things go bad for Flan in later adventures.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, mechanically, like she's still balanced. She's just like a deadly encounter. The problem again is that like a single monster is not that threatening for any group of people. She's really tricky. She'd try to run away if you try to mess with her.
Yeah.
But yeah. Cool stuff.
Yeah, I think
All right.
I'm gonna do the Fey Pact.
Yeah, so take the time to ponder over what you want to do with your character.
My only thing is like, Scorching Ray.
Yeah.
If Scorching Ray weren't a thing, I'd be all over
true.
this shit right away.
So next Thursday, Blue Jay and I are both going to be at PAX South. So
Yeah.
we'll skip a week next week, and we'll come back the week after with definitely another episode of this, and quite possibly an episode of the new thing on the Friday slot if we have all of our
We're
ducks
announcing
in
that
a row.
tomorrow, right?
Yeah, so tomorrow at 11, we will be back with a little Apocalypse World post show. We're gonna talk for an hour and a bit about. I'm really bad at judging time, so it may just end up being like 3 hours.
Yes.
We're gonna talk for 15 minutes about Apocalypse World. We're gonna hang out and talk about Apocalypse World and our experience playing it, and how we felt about that campaign and the rules and all that. We'll do a little post show about that to tie up the season, and then at the end of that show, we will announce what is going to follow it here on Roll20. So let's say our goodbyes for the episode, and we'll come back in a couple of weeks and play some more D&D. Blue Jay, why don't you start us off this time?
Oh shit. I'm Blue Jay. I'm a full-time broadcaster here on twitch.tv/BlueJay. I do the shows here on Thursday and Friday, and I also do Misclicks D&D Prophecy with Trista Ray on Wednesday nights at 6 p.m. Pacific. That's twitch.tv/Misclicks. And you can find me also on my own channel, where the next thing I'm going to be doing is this new thing I'm doing called Book Club, where I read to you. We're doing the Portrait of Dorian Gray, so it's going to be good. I'm excited. That's
Nice.
tomorrow.
Awesome. Thanks, Blue Jay. Dave, why don't you go next?
Okay. Hi everybody. I am at Dave_the_human on Twitter and at twitch.tv/Horath. I'm not a big time streamer like everybody else. I'm starting to get into it though, because it's quite fun. And the days that I will be streaming, typically, not today, but typically we'll be doing Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, and we're going to go for a mix of like games and also analysis-y stuff. Though I need to think about that, because I tried that on Saturday and I decided it was really boring to just listen to me talk for however long it was. So hopefully we can try and do something to make that content a bit more interesting. Apart from that, looking forward to talking tomorrow and looking forward to hearing people's reactions on the new game, because I'm super excited.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. Andrew?
Behold, it is I. I'm not a skeleton.
What? Startling.
I'm Andrew, and you can follow me on Twitter at Comedian Crow or twitch.tv/actualfactual. And I'm streaming Friday after our endless talking about Apocalypse World. It'll go on for like 7 hours. I'm going to be working on my Magic Girl anime role-playing game So you can tune in for that. And you can watch me later today doing Apocalypse World on Mixclicks. And you can watch me on Monday doing Blades in the Dark on Elf's channel.
So many blades. Well, speaking of Elf,
Chat. If you want to keep your position as, you know, the chat that is known as the best chat, then you should go to twitch.tv/distractedelf rather than, you know, staying here when it's offline and you can't do anything. It doesn't make any sense. Come to me and enjoy koboldy things, as well as, of course, lots of other things that I do. We're going to be playing a lot of XCOM in the near future. So come become a soldier in the army to defend Earth against aliens and die horribly. That will happen. And also, other role-playing game things that I do lots of. Mondays for Blades on my channel. Tuesdays on Brad Wodo's channel. Wednesdays on Henley's channel. And here for the other 2 days. I'm going to be away this weekend LARPing. But
Wait, you have 5 days a week of role playing?
yes. But I will return on Monday with stories for you.
oh my god, Elf! Thank you so much.
Elf, you're the best.
It's a delight. I like how this
That
time.
voice is just like.
I like how this time it wasn't even just like in character voice. It was like a throwback to. I love it. You would have gotten an advantage on that persuade check for sure.
Thank you.
I hope that everyone here has persuaded the audience to go and check out their channel if they haven't already. I am Adam Coble. That is my name. It's also my Twitch channel. You can find me on Twitter at Skinny Ghost, or right here, or over at JP role playing games. As I mentioned, we're going to be announcing our new show tomorrow, so I hope you will tune in and check that out. And we'll be back after all the PAX madness with more stuff. Thank you for coming, everybody. This has been Tales Trees Tell, part of the D&D Adventurers League first season. And we'll be back with more Tyranny of Dragons in a little while. So see you then, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.